It's that spooky time of the year again, ladies and gentlemen. Can't believe it's already October. And just like with last year's Resident Evil movie retrospective, I left a poll to let you guys decide on what I should talk about. And our lucky winner is none other than Beetlejuice. Sorry, David Pumpkin, maybe next time. So you're probably wondering how I'm going to be handling this retrospective this time around. We'll be mostly talking about the media adaptations of The Ghost with the Most. So that means we will be including anything from books or video games. Sorry, Multiversus fans, but in all honesty, I really don't want to make a Roblox account just for The Ghost with the Most. Because it doesn't matter if you put Beetlejuice in Roblox, I'm still not going to play it. Other than that, it's showtime!
Hey, Mr. Ghost with the Most here. If you happen to enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell over there for notifications. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and share the video, and all that algorithm help me situations. And while you're at it, you can also send a tip to the AngelStar Coffee and get your name at the end of the credits. You don't have to, but if you do it, I'll chew in a dog.
Hey, get out of here! There will be no dog chewing on this YouTube channel. Sorry for the supernatural delay. Let's begin with, well, the beginning.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
Every creepy story has to have a very fascinating beginning, and where to begin than the classic Beetlejuice movie from 1988. Though the movie is called Beetlejuice, he's hardly a part of the film, but he is constantly mentioned throughout the movie, creating this immense build-up for his character. Instead, the film's about the Maitlands, Adam and Barbara, played by Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, as they become a married couple not ready to become parents to being the recently deceased. And after a while, their home is actually bought out by the Dietz family. There's the stepmom, Delia Dietz, played by the wonderfully over-the-top Catherine O'Hara, the piece of shit dad Charles Dietz, played by Jeffrey Jones, who's also a piece of shit IRL, don't bother looking it up, and lastly, the goth daughter, Lydia Dietz, played by Winona Ryder, who surprisingly enough has a pretty good library of supernatural horrors under her belt, as you could probably recognize her in the hit Netflix series Stranger Things. Though Beetlejuice isn't the main plot of the story, instead going to the Maitlands, being in this literal fish out of water situation of haunting from the afterlife, they accidentally summon the Ghost with the Most himself, the one and only Beetlejuice, the bio-exorcist, surprisingly well ad-libbed and over the top by Michael Keaton, who, fun fact, would actually help out with the design of Beetlejuice when making the film. Beetlejuice would obviously steal the show for a lot of moments and situation. Even though the movie is called Beetlejuice, or Beetlegeist according to Adam, misreading his name, he's actually in roughly under 20 minutes of the film. But those 20 minutes really do show how much of an insanely entertaining character he can be. I mean, everyone gets a really great time to shine, especially the Maitlands with one of the most iconic moments in the film, the Deo Dance, aka the Banana Boat song. Beetlejuice has tons of nightmare fuel for children, yet the film somehow got away with a PG rating, even though the PG-13 rating began in 1984 after the release of Red Dawn.
Nice fucking model!
But other than giving kids nightmare fuel, as well as awakening them into the fascinating world of Tim Burton's mind, Beetlejuice was a massive success, making $1 million worldwide with a roughly $50 million budget, winning an Academy Award for Best Makeup, 3 Saturn Awards for Best Horror Film, Best Makeup, and Best Supporting Actress, obviously going to Sylvia Sidney, and was one of many films that made Tim Burton a household name, along with Edward Scissorhands, 1989's Batman, and The Nightmare Before Christmas, even though Henry Selick was the director of that film. But Burton did write the story along with Michael McDowell. This would lead Beetlejuice into a whole nother level of popularity in other forms of media, such as the next project to come out a year after the film.
Though I know I should be wary, still I venture someplace scary. Ghostly haunting, I turn loose. Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice!
It's showtime!
Coming from an era of turning mature rated movies into kid-friendly cartoons comes Beetlejuice the Animated Series, animated by Melvana. And trust me, you know who they are if you have seen any of the following cartoons or anime they distributed in the past. In the Beetlejuice animated series, who also goes by Beej and or BJ, If I had a nickel for every kid show character with the nickname of BJ, I'd have 2 nickels. It's not very much, but isn't it weird that it happened twice? Beetlejuice in the animated version is actually best friends with Lydia, and together they go on supernatural adventures in Lydia's small town and the Neither World, cause you gotta make it more kid-friendly. As if this did follow the original film, imagine how awkward it must have been for Beetlejuice to apologize for them to actually become friends after everything.
Hey, I just want to say I'm sorry for all the weird, creepy things I was trying to be. You want to be best friends go on supernatural adventures?
Sure thing, just promise me you don't stalk me as an adult.
I make no promises.
Weirdly enough, even though this is sort of based off the original movie, it doesn't actually have the original cast or characters, such as the Maitlands. But then again, since this doesn't follow the original film, the parents don't know of Beetlejuice's existence, other than the many disguises he has. It sort of works like Fairly Odd Parents rules, but not the later seasons where they had no rules. Of course, since this doesn't have the original cast or characters such as the Maitlands, which makes sense, as I don't think their dynamic would have worked for a TV series. You can say this followed around the time after they finally passed on into the afterlife. Then again, Lydia's parents don't seem to remember the events from the movie, nor do they seem to believe in ghosts. Luckily, the show knows this and creates its own cast of characters to coincide with the weirdness of the film. There's Ginger, a tap-dancing spider, or in this case, the only tap-dancing spider, the monster across the street and his pet Poopsie, Jacques Saline, a French skeleton bodybuilder, which sounds like someone threw 3 random words to make a character, and it somehow worked. The Little Miss I Can Get Away With Anything Because I'm Beautiful bully for Lydia, Claire Brewster, who's played by Tara Strong, and the Clown Brothers, Guzzo and Fuzzo, who are the rivals of Beetlejuice as they are seen later in the series trying to get in the way of Beetlejuice's scares and pranks. As the show relies on a variety of cartoon gags, pranks, scares, and so
I want you to say you're sorry.
You're sorry.
many
A new pair of pants!
puns.
Top hat!
Basically, if you don't like cheesy puns, you probably won't like this show. Luckily, I'm a sucker for puns, so this show's definitely my kind of humor. I should also let you know, the show technically has the Banana Boat song, but it's only sung in certain segments of the pilot, and they unfortunately have a royalty-free version of the song at the end of the first season. Beetlejuice, the animated series, was so successful it aired both on ABC and Fox Kids Network, with a total of 94 episodes. And what's crazier, you can watch it for free on Tubi of all places. No ads whatsoever. You think it'd be on Max, but apparently WB hates making money. Personal tangent aside. If you want more Beetlejuice, then Beetlejuice, the animated series, has plenty of juice to go around.
Holy crap! A ballad already! And such a bold departure from the original source material!
For every popular film from the 70s to the 90s, odds are they might have a Broadway musical. And yes, that includes 2018's Beetlejuice The Musical. Though sometimes a popular musical can have a movie adaptation, 3 out of 5 times they're bad. Movies turned musicals can be good, but not all the time. And don't get me started on the many movie adaptations of The Nutcracker. Might talk about that one closer to Christmas. The plot of Beetlejuice the Musical is roughly the same as the original film, considering the,
You know, being dead thing.
but there are some noteworthy changes, such as Beetlejuice and Lydia acting more buddy-buddy like in the cartoon. All the characters do feel the same to the original movie, with some extra flair considering it's a musical. But this is my personal opinion, but I'm not really a fan of the Maitlands in this version. They're not as endearing as the original film, and are just more dull, if you ask me. But I'm guessing that's what they were going for. Luckily, they can hold a nice tune. Also, sorry if I'm using animatics and still images from the musical, but it's difficult to find a DVD or find and afford a ticket in time to make this video. But there still are showings of the musical if you check out the Beetlejuice Musical website. Who knows, maybe you can find one near where you live. But to my limited knowledge and listening to the songs on Spotify, Beetlejuice the Musical is actually really good. The screenwriters, Scott Brown and Anthony King, did a pretty good job adapting Beetlejuice into a musical. Not something I'd expect from the writers of Gutenberg the Musical, which I've never seen or even heard of until now. Is it any good? My favorite songs are obviously the whole being dead thing, Dead Mom, That Beautiful Sound, and What I Know Now is, I think, kind of underrated. And of course, the Banana Boat song is in this musical. Pretty sure people would have rioted if it wasn't in here. I'm more of a fan of Harry Belafonte's Jumpin' the Line myself, which luckily is also in the musical. If you ever get the chance to watch Beetlejuice the Musical, I say go for it. And if you can't find a showing, just give some of the music a listen.
I hope you're ready for a show about death!
Is your Halloween ruined? Need help? Call the ghost with the most called Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice.
A Beetlejuice Teen Titans Go crossover? Who asked for this? Well, in all seriousness, it's not a bad episode, I guess. It's roughly a 10-minute short episode about the spirit of Halloween being kidnapped by guess who. And it's up to the Titans teaming up with the ghost with the most, Beetlejuice himself, in order to find out what happened to the Halloween spirit, only to find out it was Beetlejuice who kidnapped the spirit, just so he could trap the Titans in the Netherworld. Or is it the Neitherworld? It's really hard to keep up what they're trying to adapt. And since the Titans have to go to the afterlife, that does mean those who actually hate the show get to watch Beetlejuice kill the Teen Titans. The 10-minute episode manages to squeeze in a ton of Beetlejuice references, whether it be mostly from the movie, a bit from the animated series, and even a reference to the musical.
Oh, gee, I don't know. I'm a very busy ghost. I'm doing a show on Broadway, I'm planning a trip to Hawaii, and I just got engaged to Winona Ryder.
And yes, the Banana Boat is also in the Halloween special. Whether you like Teen Titans Go or not, this Halloween special, in my general opinion, is just okay. Would I recommend giving it a watch? I mean, if you do like the newer seasons of Teen Titans Go, then yes. But if you're not really a big fan of the series, it's worth skipping. Most of the episode is also on YouTube, so at least those who don't like the show can just watch where the Titans get the literal axe.
You gotta die.
I can't believe I'm doing this. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
The juice is loose.
And of course, we gotta wrap up this retrospective with the most recent sequel to Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, or Beetlejuice 2. Though, here's something funny when I was actually writing the script. Apparently, if you write Beetlejuice's name 3 times in Google Docs, it'll actually autocorrect to Beetlejuice's misspelled name, which is actually something I never actually addressed. And it actually is one of the biggest arguments in the movie franchise. How is Beetlejuice's name properly pronounced? Is it Beetlejuice, like how it's shown in the movie title, or is it how he has it written? I might actually have an idea on how this situation works. Beetlejuice can't really say his name, so odds are that means he can't really write it either. So he actually has to be very creative on how he spells his name, so people could accidentally say it 3 times. Anywho, the sequel. Taking place 30 years after the original film, Lydia is now a massive TV star who hosts a television series where she tries to communicate with the dead. Think all those crappy ghost hunting shows that try to act like there's a ghost, but there isn't really one. But Lydia still suffers from PTSD after the incident with Beetlejuice, to the point where whenever she actually sees someone wearing black and white stripes, she goes into a full-fledged panic attack. Meaning she probably has a phobia of zebras now thanks to Beetlejuice. But the truth of the matter is, Beetlejuice has been keeping an eye on Lydia, even after the events of the first movie. Because remember, Beetlejuice is still a scum-sucking, terrible person. The audience should know we should never root for the ghost of the most in this situation. But now that Lydia is a full-functioning celebrity adult, she too is having a hard time handling her own family problems. More specifically, her daughter, played by Jenny Ortega, who is also part of the other well-known Tim Burton project as of late, Wednesday, a darker take on the Addams Family series on Netflix. Nice to note that Burton hasn't really lost his touch, especially with the production nightmare that was dealing with Dumbo. Lydia and her daughter don't really see eye to eye, which is ironic considering the whole Lydia-Delia situation from the previous movie, which I think is actually a really great way for them to actually bond. But for reasons I won't spoil on this spoiler version of this review, her daughter ends up in the afterlife, and Lydia has to make a deal with Beetlejuice in order to get her back. One thing I do find interesting, they never really address how Lydia became this well-known supernatural enthusiast TV star, or the fact that Beetlejuice is working this type of office job, bettering his own bioexorcist industry, probably. Personally, I thought to myself, what if it was Beetlejuice that made Lydia famous thanks to his experience as a bioexorcist? But they don't really address it, so that's just more of a theory on my part. Most of the original cast returns for this very exciting sequel, with the biggest exception being the Maitlands, who they explain went to go great beyond after finding a loophole to leave the afterlife, which is a cop-out way of saying they didn't either want to show them age in the film, they didn't have enough budget to actually include them in the cast, nor they didn't want to de-age them with CGI, because we all know that's a terrible idea. But I think that might be for the better considering most of the film actually uses very practical effects, much similar to the original film. Even if there was CGI, I was actually very surprised in how little I actually saw of it. And obviously Charles wasn't a part of this movie. For one reason, he passed away, and for the other reason, he was a total scumbag. Hence why they killed his character off in the most over-the-top stupid way possible. Well, that doesn't mean that the new cast of characters in the movie don't bring any fun or interesting perks. Lydia's daughter, who was as rebellious as her mother at her age, though she's more of a environmentalist protesting youth, which is always a fun character to add in these types of films, doesn't really play a big part into her character in the film, with the only exception being she does get this nice sentimental moment with her biological father in the film. Funny enough though, Lydia's agent, manager, lover might be the funniest character in the movie, along with Catherine O'Hara, returning as Delia, who again, even after all these years, is still over the top great. But what do you expect from someone from Schitt's Creek? Though the main antagonist of the film feels more like a side character than really a major part of the film. In fact, you could actually write out her character in the movie entirely, and you'd still have the same plot, but at the cost of losing Danny DeVito as a cameo, and getting a little bit of background on Beetlejuice's backstory. Also, the sequel confirms the fact that Lydia's mom never actually died in the original Beetlejuice, which unfortunately makes the musical version of Beetlejuice outdated. Maybe they'll address it in Beetlejuice Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, or Beetlejuice times 3, which is what I would call it for, well, the obvious reason. And just like all the other medias of Beetlejuice, this does have the Banana Boat song, and another really old school song to add the weirdness factor to the Beetlejuice series, which I believe is called Cake in the Rain. Still, I really enjoyed the Beetlejuice sequel. Is it better than the original? Not really. Beetlejuice in my eyes is basically an 8 out of 10 movie, then Beetlejuice Beetlejuice is a 7 out of 10 movie. It's not better than the original, but I still had a really damn good time. Now, usually we wrap things up by actually ranking everything from the best to the worst of the Beetlejuice series, or showing what did and didn't go wrong with the source material. But here's the craziest thing. Beetlejuice is one of the few things to actually have a good, consistent adaptation. I mean, the worst one to come out of these is the Teen Titans Go crossover, which is definitely a 6 or even a 5 out of 10. I generally find it very surprising, as everyone who's actually seen Beetlejuice in some way or form are introduced to it in many different ways depending on how you grew up. Adults probably remember seeing it in theaters with their kids. Kids probably saw it through the cartoon. No joke, I actually know a few people who actually introduced to Beetlejuice thanks to the musical. And of course, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice expands on the world and lore of Beetlejuice. It's not deep, but if you're trying to watch a sequel to a really ridiculous film like Beetlejuice for world building, you're watching the movie for a wrong reason. But I think I figured out how Beetlejuice has worked adaptation-wise. The heart of Beetlejuice is in a lot of these adaptations. I'll explain probably what that means sometime in the future. Beetlejuice has kind of remained consistent throughout all the adaptations. He's a gross, weird-looking character who does really weird things and isn't an all-around good guy. But when he does the right thing, he's rewarded, but if he does bad things, he gets what he deserves. Beetlejuice is a troublemaker, and this could lead it into a lot of situations where a troublemaker might be helpful, and it might be an annoyance. I don't see Beetlejuice as a hero or a villain. I just see a troublemaker. But then again, that's what I expect from the ghost with the most. And that's all I got for Beetlejuice. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts, opinions, and my ramblings. And I can't wait to see what we talk about next Halloween. Maybe it'll finally be your time, David Pumpkin. But until then, this is the AngelStar signing out, and I wonder how many times we've said Beetlejuice on this video.